Warren Waiters.
Yeah, and this is going to be really rough for Chris, because Chris is, really relying on a lot of spot removal to deal with these types of creature matchups. So if Chris were to play against a deck like Zoo, the combination of Swords to Plowshares and Snapcaster Mage would make it extremely difficult for his opponent to have any shot of winning.
Right.
Whereas when Chris is playing against a deck like Goblins, those cards, there are going to be a lot of things on the other side of the table. And critical mass is something that he can reach, because Chris really can only apply pressure with Vendilion Clique. His Tarmogoyf can kind of wall up the ground.
Tarmogoyf's wall, Knight of the Reliquaries also serve, those serve some purpose, and at some point it's going to do, Abyss duty when it gets to attack or whatever. But for the most part, Noah's going to be free to roam the board. Also, it looks like we started with a Lackey. I'd much rather start with Aether Vial if I were Noah. Chris almost has 3 Force of Wills, not 4. He has 3 Force of Wills and a Koessel Pride Mage to interact with Aether Vial. So not a ton of interaction for Chris on Aether. And Aether Vial is just gonna do work. So this could spell trouble. It looks like Chris is gonna play either a Green Sun Zenith or a Noble Hierarch.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be a Green Sun Zenith, because he's going to want to block with that Lackey with the Dryad Arbor.
It looks like Hierarch.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so he's either
I'm
chumping
surprised
or...
he didn't force that Lackey then.
Did he have it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, easiest way to lose. Yep, that's a Force in his hand.
Yeah.
Would you block with a Hierarch here? Looks like he's got a Spell Snare.
Yeah, Chris decides to bite and go ahead and block there. And a Pile Driver comes down. And this is already, a really scary situation for Chris VanMeter. So he's going to go ahead and force that. Not really what you want to be doing, forcing,
forcing the not Lackey creature.
The not Lackey, not...
Aether Vial.
Not Aether Vial. And in the later game, not Sea Chain Commander or Ringleader.
Right. I mean, it looks like Tarmogoyf might come down. It has the option of coming down for Chris. Chris has that option.
Yeah, and I mean, so Tarmogoyf's pretty big right now. It's a 3/4, so...
Yeah, big enough.
Yeah, big enough to hold...
Big enough to hold the Lackey and beat any early, incinerators. Jump Home Incinerator.
Let's see.
Given that, if you had the Tarmogoyf, I'm not sure I would have forced the Pile Driver. Just let the Tarmogoyf wall up and start playing for turn 800.
Exactly. Now let's see what Noah has to offer this turn.
Can't really see his hand all that well. See it Badlands.
Yeah, I mean, he has the 3rd land. I'm interested to see. If he has a Chieftain, then he could start doing some really impressive things in the next turn. If he has a Wasteland, he might just want to Wasteland Chris's Wasteland. Because
that's interesting.
I can put him pretty far ahead.
He hasn't seen Chris not play it like another... Chris could have a dual land very easily that he really wants.
And he might just have another Pile Driver.
That looks like... I think that looks like a Pile Driver. Yep, there it is.
Alright, so...
Oh, he doesn't have a bad land. He chose not to play it. Maybe he's trying to induce a Wasteland. I'm pretty sure there's a Badlands. That looks like a Richard import, actually.
Yeah, so maybe he's trying to get Chris to use his Wasteland.
That's an interesting line. If he only has one more land.
I mean, it doesn't seem that bad, though. All right, so Chris is...
so Chris has a Tundra as his last land. And he clearly wants to protect that from Wasteland. So that's why he played the Tarmogoyf with his own Wasteland to protect his Tundra. But if he plays a Tundra with the Forest, he almost always gets Wasteland if Noah would have had one. Right,
And he bites, so...
And that's Kazali Pride Mage.
And, what do you think? You think Chris is going to get in there with Goyf? You kind of got to, right?
I wouldn't.
Really?
Land Incinerator is terrible for Chris here.
Yeah, but I mean, if he has an Incinerator, I guess you're...
Yeah, you can't. You just don't want the Lackey to. When you play against Goblins, like taking a hit from Lackey is a disaster, basically. I like playing Soul Ring. You know, for those Commander players, like turn 1 Soul Ring games are a lot different than not turn 1 Soul Ring games.
Oh yeah. I mean, on turn 2, you're on 4.
Exactly. Warmark, only one, no Incinerator. Even then, like, what if Noah plays Warren Weirding there? He's got a really tough decision to make. Take a hit for Lackey, you know, voluntarily sacrifice your time glyph. Definitely can't be attacking here. Maybe.
Huh.
I would gladly take 3 to kill the Lackey if I'm
So
Chris.
would I.
Yeah.
That's... And I mean,
I
go ahead and...
I would have blocked before he even turned him sideways.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I don't.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, 3 damage is nice, but not when you're at 18 to 15, not that big of a deal.
It's certainly like not putting Chris in a danger zone yet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Chris VanMeter is one of the best Legacy players in the world. He is somebody
He's had
who...
a ton of success on this. He just recently level 8 in the Star City Players Club.
A lot of that is because of Legacy.
Oh, yeah,
he's
absolutely.
won multiple Legacy championships this year.
I think so. Yeah.
Right, and
I mean, I always
many
see him
more
in
top 8s.
Yeah, I've seen him in a lot of top 8s.
He was somebody who was one of the first people to not play Standstill on the Bug Standstill decks.
Okay. I've always hated that card.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it's good if you have... I don't know. All right, Noble Heart comes down for Chris, and that's pretty good. That's going to allow him to start playing his 3-drops, and I believe he has an Elspeth in his hand, which can really clog up the board, and can also make it so that you can actually kill your opponent through that wall.
Yeah. See, I don't like this attack. He blocked before he attacked.
Especially with a War Marshal on the table.
Right. Because you're not
even sure if your opponent's going to pay for it.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Oh, there's a Dryad Arbor from Chris. So if that is that 1 card in Chris's hand, and if that's an Elspeth, it's a big deal. That might be 2 swings from time ago if we're close. We got double exalted and 3-4. Yeah, that would.
Yeah, it's 2 swings.
2 swings.
8-0.
Looks like another pile driver. Not a big pile driver fan, to be honest.
I mean, it's fine. It puts people on a very, very fast clock.
You definitely want it in your combo matchups. You need the turn 4 o'clock or whatever, but it's obviously good against Merfolk.
That's certainly true.
One of those creatures with a random protection ability that makes no sense. Like, to this day, I never understood why it has pro blue. Like why Phantom Centaur has pro black.
I mean, without those abilities, both of those cards, which have been kind of tournament cards for a long time,
phenomenal
probably would
cards.
not be very good.
Pile driver would still be.
I'm sure, but it wouldn't be. It's good. All right, so I mean, Chris is thinking here, but I'd be very, very surprised if we didn't see an Elspeth hit the table this turn. Make a guy and pass.
Yeah,
I think that's the play.
I think it's swing for 8.
Really?
Maybe not. No, it's definitely
because then
not
you
swing
just die.
for 8. Then he has to chump block the pile drivers, and then he doesn't have his exalted anymore.
All right. Oh, so he's getting in again. Let's see what Noah decides to do here. And that is an Elspeth in his hand. So
yeah. Making a good play of like deciding how he wants to play his whole turn before doing anything.
I like that.
Yeah, it's important. Like
because a lot of the time you make a play that seems obvious at the beginning of your turn, and then you're like, oh no, I can't go back and change that.
Or you just, you telegraph like what you're going to do or whatever. Like they can. And also, like I guess if he plays Elspeth and wants to fly over, yeah, that's an option for him too. But like, just, sit there, plan out your whole turn, then do it all like quickly.
And with both of those exalted triggers, that soldier token is enough to throw in the air 2 turns in a row and finish off the opponent.
It is.
All right, so
here comes
Noah's bringing the beats.
Hopefully,
and,
I think he has to go.
Block chump. Trade chump.
Yeah.
That's my play.
If he swings with everybody, like I don't know why Noah would not attack with his tokens. Whatever's getting flying. I don't think he has another play. Stuck on 2 lands and couldn't get his lackey hit.
This is really interesting. Early on in this game, it looked like Noah had a huge advantage.
But he baited Chris into a wasteland. Chris took it, and Noah, it was an insane wasteland.
Yeah, actually, he baited him into a winning play.
Right. Yeah, usually you try and bait your opponents into a losing play. I don't like that.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, you kill Elspeth and then die. If I was Chris, I'd just let your Elspeth die and I'd crack back for a bunch.
I don't know. I think I still just trade chump.
Okay, so he wants to save it. I guess you could trade pile driver for that, and then you're just under no pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, and then you.
This is still a winning play for Chris.
Another War Marshal
makes saving Elspeth a lot stronger.
Yeah,
because Noah's clogging up the ground. Or another Rishid import. I think there's a War Chief in Noah Koessel's hand. So a Goblin War Chief, not Goblin Chieftain.
So here Chris has a few different options. My line is Elspeth makes Dryad Arbor fly, attack for 5, play the 2-drop in my hand.
Yeah, there's a Vendilion Click in Chris's hand, I believe.
So
that works with the Tundra, the Hierarch, and the Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like the Dryad Arbor as a blocker isn't great because worst comes to worst, Noah can tap it with Rishid Import.
Mm-hmm.
So
if Noah is going to assemble some crazy goblins chain,
but he's sending the Tarmogoyf, getting him dead. That's a Snapcaster Mage, I believe.
Yes.
Snapcaster and Vendilion Click.
Yeah. Now Chris has 3 things that can all, attempt to save this Elspeth.
And he doesn't even need to, given the presence of Vendilion Click. So if Noah goes all out to kill Elspeth, this
Chris can just let that happen, and then All right, so the Goblin dies. The Mogg War Marshal. Mogg War Marshal's a card I like a lot. There's a lot of play to it.
Yeah.
I think people don't pay for it often enough. Echo.
There's certain Goblin draws that are slower. Goblin is very good as it has an inevitability against a lot of the blue decks in Legacy. So if you play these slower games, if you just throw away a token, you lose a lot of that.
All right, so here as Chris, like he can just block the pile driver, and the Elspeth even lives.
Oh, really? Yeah,
it's
that's brutal.
Yeah, I mean, Noah probably should have been trying to face, but his draw really just didn't work out. That's
yeah. That's game. Chris VanMeter takes game 1 of this win and in match.
Yeah, so
More than likely.
Pretty nice for Chris to get up a game here against Goblins. You know, having, especially winning a game on the draw against Goblins is something that's, you know, really hard to do.
Yeah, I think he got very fortunate that when he didn't force the lackey and he played a hierarch, that he was able to block. Because
yeah, if he had just gotten like gem palmed or something,
gem palmed or Warren Weirning, then you know, ringleaders and war chiefs or matrons, or you know, it gets out of hand quickly.
Yeah, like the card advantage engine that Goblins is able to reduce is surprisingly potent.
Oh,
and he does have an ability on Chris.
I think so. I think Elspeth might change that, but I think if Elspeth's got to be one of Chris's best cards.
Yes,
easily,
certainly.
And it's so good. Like I think the sharpshooter is like pretty good for Chris. The sharpshooter seems very, very good for Noah. I'm sorry.
Noah, yeah.
How do you think Chris is going to sideboard? What has he got?
Well, he has access to paths, which are most certainly coming in.
He's got a full set of paths.
He has a full set of paths. He has an extra force, which on the draw, I imagine he'll probably want.
Perhaps.
And, you know, we're getting tweets in right now that the reason Goblin Pile Driver was given protection from blue was to effectively fight Psychotog, which at the time was doing exceptionally well in tournament play. And that makes sense.
Sure.
You know, Psychotog was this infinity toughness blocker at the time.
Actually, not infinity. It just felt like infinity.
It was very easy to just play a Psychotog and just sit behind it, and people couldn't really attack because...
Well, and a lot of the removal wasn't phenomenal at that time either. In fact, until Smother came around, there wasn't much playable removal that just straight up killed Psychotog. Like, the black removal was Terror or Dark Banishing or something like that.
Ghastly Demise.
Yeah. And, you know, you can't burn it, and there wasn't white removal. And they have all these paths and Oblivion Rings and...
Yeah, people used to have to bounce people's Psychotogs.
Yep.
Now, Path to Exile is kind of a double-edged sword when you're playing against Goblins, because like ramping them is so bad.
Yeah, because they could use every land they get. It's like accepting a loss on... Like, if you path the Goblin Lackey, you're just like, oh, you can do half of your job.
Yeah.
And you're still going to trade for my removal spell. I actually wouldn't bring in Path if I were Chris. I think it's... Unless he has a bunch of cards, like, I don't think he wants Spell Snares. Despite the presence of, like... The War Marshals and the Pile Drivers aren't what Chris is concerned about.
I just don't think he has enough to bring in to be able to take out his Spell Snares.
That's probably true, unless he wants the paths.
Yeah, I mean, the things I like Force on the draw, because you're going to need to counter Vials.
Mm-hmm.
I think Thrawn is good.
Sure. He also might need the Spell Snares just to have the blue count for Force.
That's also true. I mean, he is bad.
He's very, very light on the blue cards. He has 3 clicks, 2 Snapcasters, 2 Jaces at 7.
The Jaces are probably coming out.
Sure, yeah. 3 Forces, but even in his main deck, he has 19 blue cards. So on the low end. For Noah's sideboarding, he has a bunch of very, I would say, cute goblins. He has an Earwig Squad, a Tuk Scrapper. He's definitely bringing in his Parish and his Parish clone, Nature's Ruin, portal version of the same card.
Yeah, now I wonder how much better his sideboard would be, especially matchups like this, if maybe he cut some of the cards that are kind of cutesy.
I like the cute cards because they you want to keep the Goblin engine intact.
But you still want a few perish, right?
Oh yeah,
I would want
he
two or three.
He has 2 perish basically.
Oh,
he has a one nature's ruin,
and a perish.
one perish. Like I actually like Goblin King and Goblin decks, and like I like Heroic Squad and Tuk Tuk Scrapper.
Yeah, and Goblin King is really good, especially like, against the rug decks and stuff, because they'll try to like create this board where they have Tarmogoyfs and just creatures with like large toughnesses in order to, you know, just gum things up so they can eventually like win with V-Clicks or Planeswalkers.
Right.
And if you have a Goblin King, you just
invalidate Tarmogoyf,
yeah,
and make them have Lightning Bolt. He has,
and they're starved for spot removal against you anyway.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think Noah changes much. Just the natures. Maybe Pyrokinesis if he's, you know, if he wants to. Like last game, it would have been nice. He would, you know, get your Hierarch, your Click, your Pride Mage, or, you know, he would have gotten 2 creatures easily for it for 0 mana.
Pyrokinesis is a pretty powerful spell.
Yeah, it's the type of card that would never see print today. The way Magic works today, it would just completely dominate Standard if it was legal. You know, the ability to pitch a red, it's the red Force of Will.
Yeah.
The ability to pitch a red card, you deal 4 damage to creatures, split any way you want.
Really strong.
I know my Standard deck would actually just concede to 1. I played Illusions yesterday.
All right, so Noah has a turn 1 Lackey again.
Yep. Let's see if it connects. I think it's important.
It doesn't look like it's going to connect. Chris has a
white card in his hand.
Yeah, he has a Caracas and a Swords, so I think the correct play is to pass the turn and path the Lackey when he attacks. That way, you give him the maximum amount of time so that his dream.
Is it a Path or a Swords? I can't tell.
Hopefully, it's a Swords for him.
Yeah, hopefully for Chris.
Yeah.
Goblin Lackey, not a legend. I like Caracas. It's a path.
It is a path.
So that's
good.
Good for Noah.
It's good for Noah.
Basically, he's conceding half of what Lackey could do, more or less. Like he doesn't get to, you know, go nuts or whatever, but Path was never good on turn 1.
And, you know, there are a few cards that really demand that they be pathed on turn 1.
Yeah. Goblin Lackey is probably the best example I can think of.
Goblin Lackey and Welder, I think, are the only 2 I can really think of. Both Goblins.
Nice. So, Noah plays a Richard Import on turn 2 with the path that gives him 3 lands, and Chris is going to be only has 1 mana available for his turn. So, unlikely to do. Looks like
gonna be able to land a Hierarch, I think. Or he can Green Sun for Dryad Arbor.
Is it Tarmogoyf? I'm not sure if he wants to Green Sun here.
The Green Sun definitely has like some value as the game progresses because he's going to be able to use it to grab something like a Knight.
Yeah.
You know.
It might just, even though I'm not a huge fan of just, you know, random end step brainstorming. He might want to cycle a brainstorm basically here. I think he has 2. I'm not sure if he has another land. I didn't really get a great look at his whole hand. I imagine
he must have a land because he elected not to Green Sun there.
Yeah,
if you don't have a land,
you don't have a land,
Green Sun there.
Or maybe he wants to set up the Green Sun with a shuffle off of Brainstorm. I could see that play being reasonable. It looks like 2 Tarmogoyfs for Chris. What I'm saying. Is that a war? Oh, that's a Matron. That's one of the most backbreaking plays. Play a freshly played Lackey and a War Chief in the same turn.
Yeah.
So you can
just paste it in.
Right. And that's a Relic. That's interesting.
I like that a lot.
The more I think about it, yeah.
Expand a lot. So.
They have, it makes Time War 0/1, makes Knights 2/2 temporarily at least, and it counters half of a Snapcaster Mage. So, if it has value, and or you could just leave it sit and play and like take away their options, you know. So Brainstorm end of turn for Chris.
I believe it's in response.
Oh, it's in response to it. Okay. Another Brainstorm might be getting put back. He's going to have to draw one of the 2 cards he puts back, but not both. Assuming he has a shot. I don't see it. It's hard to see Chris's hand.
Yeah, I don't see any lands in there.
Right.
Which makes it
I
so
don't
much
really know
surprising
the left
on the turn
part
before.
of his hand. I'd put the Trop.
Yeah, tapping the Trop seems pretty good.
Yeah, if you're worried about swords or path or whatever, he's just gonna cast it in response to you porting. But oh, there's a swords in Chris's hand now. It looks like the ponder.
So
Is that?
this turn, I think Chris is going to be able to.
There's a Misty Rainforest.
It's just going to swords this immediately. Going to crack this, and then he's probably going to Green Sun. Grab a Savannah here. It's the best land he can grab. Or, I'm sorry, a Tundra.
He can't. Well, if he's going to Green Sun, he can't get Tundra.
Yes, so he needs.
So he needs probably Savannah. Oh,
That's a Trop.
like
So
Trop.
that probably means that Chris has a Vendilion Click in his hand,
Okay.
right?
Or potentially a Jace, but Vendilion Click is far more likely.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Jaces are still going to be in his deck at this point.
Right. Especially that Pats are.
Yeah. Yeah, now. So, why is that Misty Rainforest off the side?
He exiled it with Relic.
Oh, yes, okay.
Other thing that's potential is like he might want the option to Snapcaster Mage or Brainstorm.
That is another potential. Happening right now.
Like he's got that's a matron, a Goblin Matron. So he's got another Matron in his hand. Looks like we're going long.
Yep.
Might be a little trouble for him because he doesn't have a ton of mana to work with. He never got any mana for free off of Lackey or Aether Vial.
And he did, however, get pathed, which
right.
definitely helps.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure I could. I'm sure I would get Ringleader because he doesn't have another land. He just misses land that turn. I'm just seeing what Noah's exact hand is. Looks like at least one white border card, so that's probably another Goblin Matron.
Could also be one of his somewhat random
Red Elemental Blast. You might have cited those in, even though I wouldn't.
Yeah, Red Elemental Blast doesn't seem great here.
I mean, sure, it counters some stuff, but it doesn't have creature type Goblin.
Exactly. And one of the big things, though, when you're playing Red Elemental Blast that makes it so good is because it lets you win a Jace war. And when you're not playing Jace and people are sideboarding it out against you,
yeah.
Then it...
Here comes a Knight. Only a 2/2. Chris removed his Misty Rainforest last turn.
I'm just going to go ahead and remove that Path to Exile.
A land would be very good, assuming Noah has a. Oh, it looks like Ringleader anyway.
Yeah, I think Ringleader is going to come down, and we're going to start watching the Goblin card advantage engine.
Right.
And
hopefully not for Noah. Hopefully, he has enough time to reap the benefits of his card advantage.
Now, Chris is going to brainstorm. He's looking for a force.
Right.
And I think he also wants another blue card because his opponent's tapped out, and this is a perfect opportunity for him to take advantage of Snapcaster with Brainstorm. And his Snapcasters are going to be very bad after this turn because his opponent has the Relic.
Yes.
So this is this is going to be when he Snapcasters.
Looks like we get another Ringleader and a Pile Driver.
That's pretty good.
Par for the course.
Yeah.
Yeah, par for the course.
The fact that there's another Ringleader is
it's
especially dangerous.
I think Noah's going to need to stick a War Chief at some point. That'll really help him.
Yeah, that'll make it
cast
so that
all
he
of his cards.
Because
right now
vomit his hand onto the table.
It seems like Noah can just lose with the 6 goblins in his hand at this point.
It's definitely a possibility. I think Elspeth really puts him in danger of that.
Absolutely.
And again, it's actually interesting just how strong this Relic is this game. Like Chris has 2 Tarmogoyfs in his hand. He has a Knight in play.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier today,
potential Snapcaster Mage looking like it's got a. That's what you want out of a card. Like you want a card with a variety of that interacts with a lot of different cards from your opponent. You don't want to just
worst case scenario, you cycle it.
Yeah.
All right, so Chris is going to go ahead and grab a Tundra. Some polar bears hanging out,
Whatever by the tropical islands.
Yeah. I often wonder about the geography.
Yeah, of the band deck. Yeah.
Now we have Noble Hierarch getting played against Noah. So
just kidding.
Chris decides not to cast that.
He might cast it with a trop. Nope.
So again, for those of you at home who might not be able to see the cards on Noah's side of the table, that is a Relic of Regenitus toward the top, which is what's keeping Chris's Tarmogoyf and Knight of the Reliquary from being exceptional. There's a Goblin Matron below that, and then a Ringleader below that. Noah's going to go ahead and tap that Relic again. Now this is a perfect opportunity for Chris to use his Snapcaster Mage, and while normally you would want to be getting swords back when there aren't really many targets.
Oh, Vendilion Click. Interesting.
Now
maybe he just wants to peek. I would have kept Crocus available, not Tundra. So, to me, if somebody of Chris's caliber made this play against me, I would immediately put Chris on a Spell Snare, or potentially a Brainstorm, but most likely a Spell Snare. I would not cast a 2-drop if I was Noah, because Chris knows better than to just bluff a blue mana when Crocus has a lot of value with the Vendilion Click.
And he also conveniently, with V-Click, left Noah with multiple 2-drops in hand, with the intention of getting Noah to go 2-drop the following turn. And the spell.
And Chris will know which one he wants to counter. Probably a Pile Driver over a Mogg War Marshal.
All right, so both players at 16. Noah has a lot more cards in his hand and has the Ringleader refill if he wants to.
But may not get the chance to.
Well, I mean, the Relic does buy him a ton of time.
It really does.
The V-Click's going to start beating, and the V-Click is a 4-turn clock right now.
Right. This is actually really good for Noah. He gets to go 3-drop, 2-drop because he has a Goblin War Chief. So not only does it help him out this turn, but it saves him mana in all of his future turns as well.
Yeah, and he's going to go ahead and try to play this Pile Driver, but Chris is probably going to Spell Snare it. We assume that he has a Spell Snare in hand, right?
I would assume.
He does not. His hand
I don't think it does. It's Tarmogoyf something.
Huh.
I do not like the War Chief attack. If I were Chris, I would trade
the War Chief.
Trade Vendilion Click for War Chief, and probably has to trump. Maybe it's the Pile Driver is a 7. If he just traded with the War Chief, he would be taking 10.
Yeah, it's probably 6.
6,
and that's somewhat precarious situation when you're playing against goblins.
Right, because they can just like
flood the board.
Right, and just like sacrifice 2 creatures, deal you 4 damage, type of effect. So it looks like that's
exactly what he does.
Yeah, so he's going to a very safe 13. So really, the way Goblins decks beats you from double digits is like more Pile Drivers than you have blockers.
Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, Chris is going to be able to Snapcaster that Swords right now, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, if you're going to... If he has a Snapcaster, I imagine he'll use it now and his opponent's tapped out.
Wasteland. Pretty strong.
Yeah, Wasteland's
considering
really strong.
Noah's issue right now is mana. This is very aggressive.
I mean, I feel like he has to be. And Noah's only going to gain 1 from the Swords to Plowshares.
Assuming it's Swords.
And not Brainstorm.
Yeah. Thunder doesn't really help us. But yeah. I think Swords is a safer play, but maybe not the best play because, like, I don't think Chris wants to prolong the game. I think Chris wants to find something to bury Noah.
Yes.
Because Noah has all the cards in his hand. Like Chris is basically drawing off the top of his deck.
And that's why Chris is playing such an aggressive game here. Chris is trying to, both these players do need to play a bit faster. They're, not even that deep into game 2, and we have less than less than 11 minutes left on the clock. So
there might be a small time extended, but usually it's not more than a couple minutes.
Yeah.
For what is this? Oh yeah, okay.
Here's the relic.
Right.
And he has another relic in hand too. So
that's nice. And a land. That's big.
That's really big. Yeah, now if he hadn't made that Chieftain attack the turn before...
The War Chief? Yeah.
The War Chief, rather.
I did not like... Yeah, the War Chief is just so strong for him. This is potentially very good for Noah. Like,
yeah, I mean, Noah's just in a commanding position in this game.
Yeah. I feel like Noah could have locked it out with a Sharpshooter as well.
A Sharpshooter would have been exceptional, considering it would have been able to kill the Tarmogoyf.
Because with his 4 lands, in a War Chief in play, he's just a Matron for Sharpshooter. Kill you.
Pop Relic, make the Tarmogoyf.
Well, he can't pop Relic with only 4 lands.
If he had the.
If he has 4 lands, if he has War Chief.
The 5th land.
Well, he's got his Wastelanded.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So we're back on 4 lands. But it's still like kill the Snapcaster and like threaten to like kill the Knight and the Tarmogoyf at any point.
I also don't know if Chris uses the Wasteland if his opponent doesn't have the War Chief. So.
I think Chris still uses it. Like he clearly doesn't need the mana himself.
You're right.
So. No, that's a good attack.
It's a really good attack. All right, so now it's going to try to trade the Snapcaster for the Matron. And
just keep the board down like when you have the biggest creatures.
one of the reasons why it's so good is because that makes the Gen Palm Incinerator
one worse.
One worse, which means he's going to have to use his Relic Regeneratus if he's going to want to, if he's, going to actually kill a Knight or a Tarmogoyf.
I think if I'm Noah, he uses other. I believe that's a Matron. I might be wrong. It almost looks like a 7th edition Goblin Matron, the white bordered card in Noah's hand. Use that for a second Incinerator. And then next turn, Incinerate, then pop Relic. We need to draw land to do it, but...
If you do, it's just such a powerful play.
Both of his huge creatures are dead. The other alternative is to get enough Hardcast Force from Chris.
Yeah.
Just to get enough goblins in play where... It's not...
No, it's... So we have... basically at this point, with less than 7 minutes left on the clock, like they don't really stand a chance of finishing in game 3.
Right.
So
absolutely, this game is going very, very slow. Yeah, even though it's a long game, they still
they should speed up. But I think one of the major things that's going on here is that Chris potentially
could
win one out.
Absolutely.
I mean, Noah, even though he's in such a commanding position, isn't really making the plays that make him win the game very fast.
Yes.
He's just kind of pressing a little bit of value every turn.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine to do if you're going to make a decision every 5 seconds. But
oh, wow. Noah just got crushed. All right, so Noah attacks with a 2/2 Ringleader. Blocks, Tarmogoyf blocks. Then Noah pops the Relic to make Tarmogoyf a 0/1. But still before damage, Chris VanMeter sacks a land. But it's not just a land, it's a creature land in Dryad Arbor. So now Tarmogoyf is a 2/3 and just chump attacks the Ringleader.
So it looks like Chris is going to be able to win this 1-0 at this point. I mean,
or maybe even 2-0. Like, Noah's got a Goblin Matron in play, nothing else.
But he also has like a Ringleader in his hand.
If he has, don't pass the turn, please incinerate the Tarmogoyf.
The Knight's too big.
No, the Knight's not too big.
Yes, it is.
So. Okay, so he's going to grab Badlands. So he is going to incinerate.
Here's a War Marshal he might play, but you have to incinerate the Knight.
Yeah.
Just the Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, and I mean he's gonna, it's a cantrip removal spell. It's
still powerful for him. So you have to use one of his best cards or whatever right here, but there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and Chris doesn't have a way to grow the Tarmogoyfs.
So does Chris have anything in his hand, or is he
is Hellbent.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the...
Yeah, then
given that they're pressed for time, I don't like... Is that an Aether Vial?
It's not much of a draw step. Alright, so... Is it possible that Chris can be attacking here?
No, absolutely. I mean, you're afraid of some, like, War Chief Pile Driver combinations?
Well, basically what I'm thinking is that he must know that he knows his opponent still has like a Ringleader and things like that.
Yeah, he can't beat that. Like,
he can't beat it.
Attacking is correct with Chris.
Yeah.
Well, he may not be aware.
Just top deck an Elspeth and then win after this attack if the attack goes through, right?
Perhaps. So he's getting a second Dryad Arbor. I like the trend towards the second Dryad Arbor in a lot of these Legacy decks. It's very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it gives your green suns a lot more power too.
Or just like random fetch lanes, like right there.
That let you like block in like win racing situations. And
does something other than make mana.
It's really good in the nutrition match. Especially when you're playing equipment, it's just another body to carry
And now we have Noah can do whatever he wants this turn. The world is his oyster. Yeah, so another Relic's gonna really, like, Chris knew he had that in his hand.
He's got 2.5 minutes to finish it though.
Yeah,
it's.
But doesn't he have another matron that he can use to get another
There's a
incinerator?
matron.
And then he can just get an incinerator and
not this turn, but next turn.
Yeah, and then he still has 3 turns to end it. So this match is a draw.
Likely. I mean, Chris has draw. I don't think the game's over. This game's over. Like Noah would win given infinite time, but he's taking like 2 minutes for like to search out a war chief or whatever. Also, that's not an incinerator.
I don't understand how you can not get an incinerator in this spot.
There's a pile driver in Noah's hand as well, so I think that's going to be the play.
Yeah, so he's going to be able to win on time.
More than likely. I can't see too many. Chris has a trop and
what did he draw?
A green card maybe. Maybe Scavenging Ooze. Kind of trying to see what green cards I don't recognize are in on Chris's deck. Does he even have a Scavenging Ooze? Yeah, he has a Scavenging Ooze. That would actually be insane.
The Scavenging Ooze would just be huge.
Oh, Wasteland. Not a green card at all. You Wasteland the bad... Oh, you say go. I don't like saying go. I would use the Wasteland. Wow.
All right.
I guess he maybe wants the Wasteland for post-Relic shenanigans.
And I mean, he's going to have to trade this night with a pile driver anyway. And potentially, the knight wouldn't even be able to trade if he's Relic and Noah some sort of Lord effect or some sort of like toughness pumping effect, and he doesn't know if Noah is like capable of that.
Yeah,
and it's goblins, so that type of thing happens all the time.
Yeah, this looks really good for Noah.
Yeah, so Noah's just gonna just turning everything sideways, and Chris is gonna.
Port the Dryad Arbor.
This game.
I feel like wasting it would be... Oh no, it's night. Still, it doesn't matter.
Just kidding. Let's figure out how to play like... Now it looks like our match is going to be a draw, for sure.
So,
Pile driver gets blocked.
Pile driver gets blocked. Chris will have no board left, and he's going to take quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, it looks like 2, 6. You'd have to draw the most insane brainstorm all time.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have access to Wrath or anything like that, so... Yeah, at this point... He basically has to brainstorm in a time ball case.
All right, that's time. So if Chris somehow survives 2 more turns, he's got the draw at least.
And it seems very unlikely that's going to
happen. Right. He's on 6, facing 7. So. Facing 6 actually, but
and
not
what did he draw?
Noble Hierarch.
And that's it.
So
all right, so this match will be a draw, and
presumably it doesn't knock either player out unless one of them has, you know, terrible tiebreakers.
Yeah. So now, you know, they're both in a winning.
Another